Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Aspie Bridge 2.0. In this whole series, what we're doing is we're going to give you the answers right away so that you have something to take home with you and have an answer to maybe a circumstance that's either already in your life or may come up in the near future. So we try and give you the answers as soon as possible. And here we're sharing a journey of understanding because community is so important and we can help each other. Where it's not all about having a leader and a bunch of followers. We can help each other. An answer to and I want to introduce you or reintroduce many of you to my guest, Michelle Lesesne De Santis. And I would love to have her tell you a little bit about herself before we go into our lesson series. Michelle, welcome.
Hey, Suzanne, thanks for having me. Do you want me to just tell you a little bit about my background? Yeah.
I would love that. Yes, let's
Okay.
let everybody know where you're coming from. I think that's so helpful.
Okay. So my background, a little bit about me. I grew up on a farm. And when I went to school, my first degree, I was an anthropology major. I don't know if I ever told you that, Suzanne. So I got a degree in
I didn't know
anthropology.
that.
Yeah. And then what do you do with a degree in anthropology? Well, I became a waitress. And so I was a waitress in my 20s and I made a lot of bad decisions and I had a lot of life experience. And then when I was 30, I decided to go back to school and I became a therapist. So I got a master's in social work. And my professional background then has been I've worked in a bunch of different modalities. I've worked in domestic violence, oncology, hospice, brain and spinal cord injury. So about 4 or 5 years ago. How long has it been? So I went to Brave Thinking Institute, like you, Suzanne, and that's how you and I met. And since 2024,
Yes, we
I've really
did.
focused on doing my own thing, which is sort of a hybrid therapeutic coaching. It's not straight coaching and it's not straight therapy. It's a little bit of both. And I created a company called Creating a More Powerful You.
That's wonderful. Yes, I'd like to go and just talk quickly about what hybrid means for those who are listening. There are some coaches that will take you down the spiritual route, and that's great. That's all about conscious awareness that we're not breathing ourselves, we're not making ourselves live. There is a higher power that has put us on this earth for a reason. And Michelle and I were just talking about the fact that everyone has a purpose. We're not here by mistake. And that's the
Right.
spiritual aspect of it. But we don't stay with just that part of it. We also like to bring in the fact that we understand your lived experience. Like Michelle said, she had her lived experience of what she went through. These are all chances that we get to know more about who we are as people and what really lights us up. And it's so intriguing that we have a similar story because I want to bring in psychology, which is for all of you who are dealing with trauma in your background, learning how you can take your lived experience, take your pain, and help others to learn what you did with how you grew through it, not above it, because we're all still dealing with something in our lives. If someone tells you that they're not dealing with anything, they're just trying to tell you that they don't want to tell you what their problems are. But the honest way to say is have accountability and say, hey, you know what? Right now I'm dealing with XYZ. And if I can help you learn about what was helping me on a daily basis, why not? Right, Michelle?
Yeah, it's funny, Suzanne, because all of my career, I've always told clients that if you're doing therapy right, it's education. And so the Creating a More Powerful You is a very educationally Socratic based model. And what I mean by that is in the Socratic model of learning, we have three phases: the grammar, the dialectic, and the rhetorical phase. And the grammar phase is really, really understanding the language around something. And so we think about when you go into therapy. I've been in therapy. I recommend, I've never met anybody that wouldn't benefit from some therapy, to be honest with you. But what your subject is you. And
Yeah.
so I feel like the hybrid approach then is where in therapy, a lot of times you're really specifically focusing on what's wrong,
Hmm.
right? And whereas with coaching, you're focusing more on what's right. And so that hybrid is you don't want to dismiss what's wrong or what happened or what your struggles are or your problems. We don't want to dismiss that because that's unethical. But we don't want to stay there.
Exactly.
And so a lot
Exactly.
of times there's a quote in one of my favorite movies. One of my favorite movies is The Last Holiday with Queen Latifah. But one of the characters says in that movie, adversity is the stone on which I sharpen my sword.
Mm, yes.
And I like that because I think some of the most difficult lived experiences I've had, which were generally the result of poor choices, and those poor choices were generally the result of lack of awareness. And awareness and education are very married. But those lived experiences made me who I am today because I
Yes.
didn't let the mistakes I made define who I am.
Hmm.
And I've
Yeah.
made a lot of mistakes.
Oh, I have too. I have my favorite one is from Dean Gracioso, and his is turning your mess into a life message. And that's based on the same ideas. I'm not going to go and keep all of this information for myself. If I can help all of my community know, well, when she did this is what she did, let me try it. And
Right.
that's what it's all about is taking ideas from each other and saying, well, okay, let me try it this way. Then you have at least something to draw from. You're not taking it all from inside your head. And that's where the psychology comes in is we've learned some of the different routes that we can help you to go forward. And as Michelle said, we're not going to have you come into a session and stay in the past. What's happening today or this week that we can help you with to move you forward and help you find the tools to go forward in it. We're not going to say back when fourth grade when you had challenges. We're going to take a current issue that you are experiencing and go forward. Now, Michelle, I'd like to share my script and you and I can talk about it as we go through it. For those of you who are watching it, you can listen to our script the first time and then go through it the second time and read it, and there will be a second layer of understanding what's going on in this lesson. It's just like a with a visual to our commentary.
Okay. Am I supposed to say something? Okay.
I'm going to go ahead and set it up. Oops, one
Oh,
moment,
yeah. Okay.
please. So in the script, it's called Meeting the Coach. And I just have to, oops, got ahead all set up here. I'm so sorry. Uh, darn it. Um, well, maybe we can't do it this time, but okay, we're just gonna go
We can
through
improvise.
and we're going to improvise like I did last week. I tried to improvise. Hey, you know what? It's not failure.
It's
It's
information. It's
feedback.
feedback. Yes. Yes.
It's feedback. So, what I would like to do is I would like to bring up my notes here. If you'll give me a moment so I can get into talking about our notes here.
Suzanne, can I share something real quick while you're doing that?
Oh, absolutely. Please do.
So I have a group that I run once a month. It's called Powerful Creators. And I had this happen to me. I did in November, our topic of the month was gratitude, unsurprisingly. And I did this great presentation and I screen shared and it was beautiful and it went great. And I was like, yeah, me. And then in December, I didn't have a presentation. And in January, our topic was actually purpose. And I had another great presentation and I could not get it to work. Could not get it to work. And I got so frustrated. And I could hear one part of me telling myself it's feedback. But I'm like, why did I didn't know. I said, y'all saw me do it. I didn't make it up. Y'all were there. Y'all are witnesses. And just sometimes technology just doesn't cooperate. And I love that we can just, okay, let's improvise and move forward and do something different. That's all.
That's part of the lesson. You know what? There are going to be times when a plan doesn't go the way we intend it to be.
Yeah.
But that's okay because I wrote up another set of plans. And so I have the value of changing our mindset. So, one thing I'd like to say to all of you is there are two little words in the English language, and I know we can put them into different languages, but the word but and the word and are two words that have a completely different level of energy to them. I can't go out, but I want to. I can't go out and I can spend the time working on a craft because the weather's not great. Which one sounds better? I want to, or and I can do this instead. It's all about the and the but. It even sounds better, doesn't it, Michelle?
Yeah.
You say but, and then you say and. It's hard not to smile with the word and.
And invites more in, I feel like. And but limits. So I feel like
Yes,
but is a little bit more constrictive and clamping down, whereas and it opens up opportunity to bring more in. Do you think?
exactly. And sometimes, as I did in my cartoon script, I had Ellen say but and she said, it just sounds happier. And it's like it does. But she said, but what happens if I don't feel happier? I'm like, what about yet? The weather is not great yet. I can still take a 5-minute walk if I hurry.
Yeah. And
So go ahead. Yes.
sometimes what I do, especially when I'm talking to clients, is I will say but and.
Oh, okay.
Because I
Very good.
acknowledge that there's a but, there's a construct. So if I say, I want to offer a free community support group for caregivers, but and I haven't gotten response back yet.
There we go.
So that way
That's
I'm acknowledging that it's frustrating that I haven't gotten the feedback, and I haven't gotten feedback. Both things are true,
They can be
but
true at the same time.
holding
Yes.
space for the and gives me that, like, yet there's more. So I'm not staying in the woe to me. I wanted to do it, but I haven't gotten any feedback. But and maybe I will get feedback. Maybe there's a divine timing to things. This isn't the time. That's okay.
I like that. I like that. That takes us right into our constrictive and our expansive talking. And when you limit yourself, the weather is awful all this week. How does that feel? It kind of feels kind of tough in your chest. But then when you say the weather isn't great and I have some craft projects I wanted to do, some scrapbooking I wanted to finish, and I have some sewing that I really am excited about doing, can you hear the expansion in that?
Yes.
You're not just settling on that. These are all different ways that we can uplift our language. Another thing that I really like that came from this Brave Thinking Institute is maybe something happened in the past. And maybe you've had a couple of times when it's happened again. You can use three little words up until now. This is what happened to me, which means that you're kind of saying that no longer am I going to let this irritate me. Sorry. That was my cat. Wanted to be a part of the podcast. Anyway, let's get back to what we were saying. What I find is sometimes we have a pattern because as autistic individuals, we're used to seeing patterns. That doesn't mean it has to keep going into the future. Can you think of a time, Michelle, when you might have said up until now when things changed?
Absolutely. Even the example I gave about the video, I had to start teaching myself to say, up until now, technology has been a struggle for me because technology is not my forte. So I'm very passionate about language. I'm actually a geek and a nerd about that too, because I love grammar. But our language is important. You know, in the Bible says the tongue has the power to build up and the tongue has the power to destroy. What it's talking about is language. So what we say matters, and specifically what we say to ourselves matters.
Yes.
So when I if all and I was Suzanne, you and I were talking about this before the podcast. If all I speak over myself is limitation, lack, frustration, difficulty, challenge, if that's all I'm speaking over myself, no wonder I'm struggling.
Yeah.
So when I say up until now, technology has been my enemy, technology is no longer my enemy. Technology and I are in relationship counseling. We are working it out.
We're working it out.
And that feels
And
so much, but yeah, there's so much possibility and potential in that. But if I just say I suck at technology, which I used to say, that's a statement of fact, and it feels very limiting. How am I gonna thrive in some of the ways I want to get my message out if I suck at technology? So up until now, technology was a struggle for me, but now we're in relationship counseling.
I think that's great. Yes. Yes, because it accepts that the pattern you had up until now is going to hold you back, but you're now saying no longer,
Yeah.
no longer am I going to let it back. Let's see. All right. Now, Michelle and I were talking about what if you really want some help from us? You know, when you go and you choose, you get to choose. We're not going to come looking for you. You get to choose, which means you are in the driver's seat. Yes, you can choose to do life on your own. No one's going to have a problem with that. Yes, you can choose to do coaching with anyone, but you're also maybe doing it with their method. Or yes, you can say, I would love to have the hybrid version where I get to choose how fast we go, what our pace is. I get to choose what event in my life I would like to have help with. I get to choose. Do you see the difference between going to a particular therapy session or a coaching session where they say, this is what we're going to talk about this week? Well, it may not have a literal connection to what you're dealing with right now, but we put you in the driver's seat and you can tell us what issue is coming up, and we can attract the issue from where you're at right now. What's hurting you? What do you think are some possibilities that might help you? And then we can take you forward in coaching. Would you like to add anything to that, Michelle?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, so I call that client led versus content led, right? So I teach from some programs from BTI. So, for example, working with the law. But the way I do it in my practice is I build in, it's hybrid. So, for example, working with the law is a 12-week program. I don't run it in 12 weeks, I run it in 24. Why? Because inevitably life is lifing. And so my client is that she just finished it will come and something happened at work and she needs to talk about that. It's not necessarily a therapy session in the sense that we're doing a treatment plan and we're doing a diagnosis, but I need to be able to meet her where she is. And so in the year of yes, for example, that there's not a content, there's not a curriculum that comes with that. That is 100% client led. So for that program, you do a vision casting session, and that is like a 90-minute session. It's not short. There's a document. So I like how you said that, Suzanne, in the driver's seat, it's your vision. And that is really going to set the roadmap for the year coming. Because as you know from our training, we work best when we're coming from a vision, not trying to get to it. So I love how you describe that we put the client in the driver's seat.
Absolutely. Because, well, there are two ways that we can help you. Either directive, this is the lesson plan, this is how we're going, or evocative, where we will ask you questions and you're more or less doing some of the work and we're the compass. So think of us as going from the driver of the car to the GPS. You're coming up with the driving. We're just helping you to know which lane might be more advantageous, but you're still in the driver's seat. You
Yes.
can take our advice or you can feel your way to what feels right for you. And I think that's so important when you're in uncertainty, is to know that there is a compass, but we're not telling you how to do it exactly, which means we're not also not giving you the answers.
Right. Yeah, I think too, one of the mentors I had in my life, and one of the most powerful things I think she did, besides is A, she asked evocative questions, like you said,
Mm-hmm.
and B, I knew she was in my corner. And the other thing is I knew that she was not a coach, she was a supervisor, and she became a mentor and a friend. Her name was Jerry. But Jerry saw capacity in me when I didn't see capacity in me.
Oh,
And I
that's
think that is one of the linchpins of a really good coach, and what people should look for is someone they feel a connection to, because I see possibilities in my clients. And I know that they're struggling to see that possibility with the clarity that I do. But I didn't get to where I am by myself. I've
yes.
had great mentors and coaches, and I'm willing to invest in myself because I know that I'm worth it. I know that I'm the best thing I will ever invest in, because I'm the only thing I know for sure is going to be with me my whole life. My dad taught me that. But yeah, I think it's important for clients to feel a connection, because
Mm-hmm.
in a coaching relationship, it is relational. It's not transactional. Things are going to come up, and you need to feel like I believe you need to feel comfortable. You need to feel like your coach sees you and sees past you, sees your potential. And that's really more of a feeling. That's not something you can put down on paper or take a test for. So I always encourage clients to interview their coach. If you're thinking of hiring a coach, same thing with a therapist. I always told people, interview your therapist. Ask them
Yeah.
where they went to school. What is their philosophy of care? If your therapist doesn't have a philosophy of care, that's not good.
It, the idea is that you want to grow. And this is
Yes.
what Michelle and I are both saying is, if you're going to any particular mental health care provider, you don't want to know that 8 years down the road, you're still talking about the same subjects. You want to have a roadmap. The only difference is that we're not in the driver's seat, we're in the passenger seat. And we don't have the same lived experiences you have. So it's going to be up to you to say, hey, this is what happened this past week. Can we discuss it? That way, we're really personalizing in on what you're doing. If we have a story and you'd like to hear a story that relates to it, we'll be quick about it. But this is more about you. This isn't
Yes.
about what we went through. We can tell you about a quick little scenario and how we worked through the scenario to come to a solution that worked best for what we need. We are the highest authority. If someone says you should be doing it this way, I might be a little questioning about that kind of thing. What do you think about that, Michelle? Have you ever
100%.
seen something where they said, no, I really think you should try it this way?
I try to refrain from using the word should in my vocabulary. Tony Robbins says people will should all over you. Don't should on yourself. I don't feel like it's my role to tell people what they should be doing. I feel like my role is really more of a guide. If you think about what a coach is like on a team, or an athlete, a professional athlete, a coach again sees a potential in you and holds space for that higher version of you, asks good questions, and is supportive. And so that's one of the reasons, like what with the year of yes, I want people to have the structure of support. So the people that I have right now are in the tier one. They meet once a month. I've told them that doesn't mean you can't reach out to me. If you need to reach out to me in between sessions and it becomes excessive, we'll have a conversation about that. But I have created a program that's never happened. But because the whole point is having support. If we could just do everything on our own, we would do it on our own. The whole point of having support is that you're not doing it alone. And that's very, very powerful. I'm a product of that. I mean, I would not be who or what I am if it were not for Jerry. I'm telling you, 100%, I would have quit grad school. You and
Mhm.
I would not have met. None of this. I wouldn't have even met my husband. The power of having someone to support you and stand by you and believe in you. And that's why I said it's relational. Yes, coaching costs money. Anything you want to do in life costs money. So I'm very passionate about this. The word investment comes from the Latin investire, which meant to clothe or to surround. It originally referred to garments that the priests wore, right? It wasn't until the 1800s that this word started becoming more associated with money. But think about what an investment is. It's something that you put out with what? The expectation that you get more back. So I
Yes.
always tell people in coaching, I don't care how much money you spend on coaching. Money's not the issue. If you don't put the time and the effort in, you're not going to get the result that you want. It's like gym equipment. You can buy really nice, I've done
Exactly.
it. You can buy really nice gym equipment if you don't put the time and the effort in. And so a good coach, I feel like, encourages you when you don't want to do the work, asks really evocative questions that make you think. I love it when I ask a client a question and they're like, I don't know. Good. That means you have to think
Yeah,
about it differently than the way you've been thinking about it. That's the point. It's fun. It should be fun, and
exactly.
I think it should be exciting. And I always tell people when you do therapy, if you do therapy right, especially if it's your first go, it's hard. It's painful. It can be
Mm.
very difficult. It can be very dark because you're stirring stuff up you've purposefully kept on the back burner, right? And then you get into therapy and you got this pot. Now you're stirring all this stuff up that you don't like. Coaching's different because you theoretically you've done that, right? And so coaching should feel expansive. Like I love one of my clients told me, I took this as a compliment. She said, I feel like I went to church when I get off a call with you because she feels uplifted and excited and positive and she sees
Yeah.
possibility. Whereas maybe at the beginning of the call, she was seeing problems. Well, that's a matter of training, right?
Mhm.
Because both things, it's a both and. You can have a lot of problems
Exactly.
that you're
Yeah.
dealing with. That's true. And there's a lot of possibility and solution. So that's where a coach can help say, okay, what are we going to feed? Are we going to feed problem? Or are we going to feed solution?
Exactly. Oh, definitely. And I want to just mention out to people that sometimes people are like, well, I can just go to my family for that. Well, think about it. When you go to your family, you're going to have all of their lived experiences. You're going to have their thoughts on what you should do. And again, as Michelle was saying, no one can tell you what you should or shouldn't do. That's up to you. And so when you go to your family, you're not going to get an objective view. You're going to get the subjective view based on your upbringing, based on everything they know about you. So, sure, you can go to your family. That is still the driver's seat. But if you want to grow, that's when you start to think about who is going to provide me with the best way to grow. Now, when I do my Dream Builder program with all of you, I break it into 16 weeks versus the 12 because I like to put in an enrichment activity. A lot of us don't want to just sit there and listen. A lot of us would prefer to do something to learn how a lesson comes to life. And that's where I excel. I'm the enrichment side. I can take a lesson and I can give you something to do with your hands that bring out the lesson even further. So, what we want to see to wrap this up is with so many people out in the world giving you coaching, giving you therapy, it's up to you to decide what driver's seat do you want to be in, or are you going to be relegated to the passenger seat? These are ways that you can grow and learn how to put your purpose into play. If you have something in your heart that you want to come out and you go to someone who isn't willing to see your potential, how far are you going to go?
Mhm.
Michelle, would you like to add any final words for our podcast today?
I love the angle that you bring, Suzanne, of the experiential lived experience of growth and that enrichment. I think that's really powerful.
A lot of us as autistic people enjoy the visual.
Hmm.
behind. And when topics are harder to understand with just the words, I think if you were to see it done in form, like
Hmm.
we have a concept where we learn about how we may not see something on the surface growing, but we can see the roots underneath. I have all my clients who will take a clear cup, put soil in it, and they can see how the roots are
That's
growing
cool.
below the surface before they come up. So there's a visual that goes behind, oh, well, nothing's going to change. Why am I wasting my time? Because isn't it exciting when you see it growing
Yeah,
under the surface? So that's my twist on how I do it is I give you a project to enjoy with your hands, very tactile, so you can see how the purpose comes to life.
I love that.
So I want to say thank you to everyone for coming today. The main purpose of this was to help you understand that with all the thousands of coaches that you'll see out in the world, it's up to you to decide who is right for you. We're not going to say, come to us, come to us. We're the best. We're the best. We're not going to. No, it's not about that. Who you resonate with is who is going to take you the furthest. Not who is the cheapest, who is doing this, who is doing that. Who do you resonate with? That's the driver's seat.
Amen.
I want to say thank you for everyone for coming this week and stay tuned for next week. Have a
Thank you,
great day.
Suzanne.
Thank you. I'm so glad you came to visit us today, Michelle.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Have a great day, everybody.